Why did we spend so much for a guy who can only throw check downs? He has no arm, no mobility whatsoever, no horsepower behind his throws, no zip.
Guy who's 29-3 going into this week's game as a starter. A guy who has been to college football playoff. He's been to SEC championship games. A guy who has played well and shown himself to be a very good college quarterback. That's why. I don't necessarily disagree with any of the critiques you are putting forward, however. My only thing would then be, if not Carson Beck, realistically, whom? John Mateer was following Ben Arbuckle to Oklahoma. So don't say John Mateer. He was not coming here, right? We've seen the Emory Williams show. That ain't it. You want to trust a freshman, a true freshman? I don't believe that that's it. Like, yeah. And it is tough because we saw literally the worst turnover game of his career last week for some bad choices coupled with bad throws. So don't try to think that I'm here saying Carson Beck is the second coming of whomever. He was a very good option. He's also the quarterback who had led us to this 5-0 record and performed pretty well, one game excluding, and who actually went out and, kind of hit bombs over Baghdad against Florida State. So I get it. I understand the frustration. But I've been very critical. I said that first throw he didn't have the range. He doesn't have the juice for that. So the no horsepower, no zip, I agree. I just think that he made some really, really bad decisions. I thought that he tried to play some hero ball in a way that does not befit his skill set. And if you look at all of the interceptions, but specifically the final 3, there were dudes wide open on those plays, just wide open. And he made the choice to throw where he did for whatever reason. If he makes a different choice, to hit an intermediate route or a check down or whatever. And Shannon Dawson said he's the best quarterback that Dawson's ever coached in taking the check down. So why the heck didn't he take the check down instead of pumping at a cornerback, looking at that cornerback who's looking at you, right? Like it's that Diddy meme from when he was on The Voice of the guy looking at him and looking back and looking at him, or whatever that show is, looking at him and looking back, and then throw it directly to him. But you have 3 dudes or 2 other dudes on that side of the field and a crosser wide open on the same play. I think that's brain wiring. And I think that, he was just like, hey, he wanted to pull that thing out and show the size of it to everybody. Hey, I'm King Dingaling and I'm going to make this throw and I'm going to play hero ball, and it went a different way. So I think that there are other issues while, also saying, I think that you are upset, Muhammad. No arm, exaggeration for comedic effect. No mobility whatsoever, exaggeration for comedic effect. The terminal, no, none. There are parts of his game that are not as good as I think that Carson believes them to be, but he continues to play like they're at a higher level. So I hear you, and I've been critical as well. I do think that he was the best option in the portal. I think that he is the best option on this roster, but whatever's going on behind his eyes and between his ears, in that noggin, that's what needs to get fixed. And he still completed 72% of passes, even with the shenanigans. But the thing is, shenanigans are shenanigans, and shenanigans cost you the game. So I hear you. But I also push back on, like, why do we spend the money or why do we bring him in? Because he was the best available option. He had played really well this year, and it took the worst game of his career to lose by 3. So I hear you being critical, and I'm critical as well. I think maybe we need to take a half step back from the ledge on the terminal end of Carson Beck's career here at Miami.
Here's the best I can do in jotting down transfer quarterbacks, other than the one that you mentioned, to Oklahoma. And it's not a very impressive list. We had a couple of years of very impressive lists of transfer quarterbacks, but Miller Moss, Nico Iamaleava, Jackson Arnold, Devin Dampier, Darian Mensah, Malik Murphy, Joey Aguilar, Bo Prabula, Preston Stone. Can we think of anybody else? I did a pretty
And-
exhaustive.
And you're not taking any of those. Like $8 million Nico wasn't coming here because he was going back out to Cali. So even if you want to say he is the talent, right, of a kid who was a 5-star recruit that everybody in America wanted, he wasn't coming here. Darian Mensah, we kicked the tires on, said no. Joey Aguilar from App State said no. I mean, we didn't even go down that path. And Preston Stone, nah. Bo Prabula, didn't he was a no contact in the portal guy because he knew where he was going. He is a guy who might actually been pretty kind of interesting. But again, that's like trying to date a supermodel who's already married. Like, yeah, you'd be interested in that. She's not checking for you, boo. You know what I mean? So, like, there again, a realistic, viable option for Miami. Maybe Darian Mensah? Maybe? I don't know.
Thomas Castellanos. There's the other one.
Well, no, the other one. And I know that the comments, I'm scroll down, are probably screaming. Miami Columbus alum Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, yeah. Okay, forget about him.
That's the one. I'm still up because I haven't scrolled down because I try to go through the chat live or in sequential order, not necessarily live. That's the one. And I know people are probably saying, well, the quarterback of Indiana, who's from here and went to the same high school as Cristobal Mirabal and everybody else, that's probably the one. I still push back on that. I know that he's playing well. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just not necessarily a big fan. I give him credit that he is playing very well within what he can do. But then again, having seen what Carson Beck did last week, maybe then that's probably the one allegory. And again, he's a Miami native. So, and having heard from all of so many people down here that he would have come down had we asked. But that's the only one. But it is what it is, man.